I'm pretty comfortable in my law degree at the moment. And then I thought, if I don't do it, I'll kick myself because I have the passion to wanting to apply my skills towards this. So I really was apprehensive at the beginning, but the more I thought about it, the more I convinced myself that this is something that I want to give my time and efforts towards. When I walk through, it's not that's room 20, that's room 21. It's by name. We know all the residents by name and they all know me by names. It's a difficult system to work in and you're seeing people at their most vulnerable sometimes. And being able to have that care and compassion can impact people's lives and impact the way that they live out the rest of their lives. When you come out, you're a well-rounded person, not just an educated person. You have those soft skills, you have the empathy, you have the understanding, you have value. Personal values is all about empathy, care, respect, and striving to better yourself every single day.
Before we get started, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode of our cutting-edge contemporary conversations. Thank you.
Welcome, Paul. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Dev.
Could I ask you to give a brief background of yours and what work you're doing?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Paul Savvas. I'm the CEO of 3 not-for-profit organisations, all fall under the umbrella of the Greek Australian community. So I'm the CEO of the Hellenic community of Western Australia. I'm the CEO of St Andrews Grammar Incorporated and CEO of the Hellenic Community Benevolent Association. Now, within those organisations, we operate a pre-K to 12 private school. We have a 97 resident aged care facility. We have a Greek Orthodox church, and we have several commercial buildings around Northbridge where we have halls for our residents, and we have some leases as well.
Wow. How do you manage being a CEO of 3 organizations and with a diverse set of services?
Yeah, look, it's tricky. There's you need knowledge across a different array of areas, but the trick is having the right staff involved so that we're all moving towards the same direction.
Could you also, I would like you to share about your whole background, growing up and, in Perth and all the background.
So I was born in Bunbury, nice little country town. Then when I was about 7 years old, Mum said it's time to move to Perth. So we packed up and moved to Perth. And then I was enrolled in St Andrews, which is now the school that I'm overseeing. So I did year 3 to year 12 there. I graduated. I went to uni and studied law and commerce. So I qualified with a double degree. I then went into the field of law and practiced as a solicitor for 4 or 5 years. Primarily focusing on family law and minor criminal matters. And all the while I was an elected representative on the committee of the Hellenic community of Western Australia as either a committee member and most recently as the vice president. And as the organisation grew, we found it was very difficult for us volunteers to devote sufficient time to manage the structure that it was becoming. So the committee decided to implement a CEO. And part of my job was drafting the job description and coming up with all of that. And they said, well, you seem to have a good grasp of this. I said, well, I'm pretty comfortable in my law degree at the moment. And then I thought, if I don't do it, I'll kick myself because I have the passion to wanting to apply my skills towards this. So I really was apprehensive at the beginning, but the more I thought about it, the more I convinced myself that this is something that I want to give my time and efforts towards. A role like this is not about the career and not about the progression. It's about the impact you can make to people. And that's something that I'm very excited about because every day decisions I make impact people's lives for the better. We have 97 aged care residents where we change the way they live, we change the activities they get involved in, their food, their care models. We're shaping the youth of tomorrow with the school. We've got pre-K to year 12. We've got 875 students this year. And we get to be involved in how we shape their future in education. We have tomorrow's leaders. So it's something that I'm really excited about, and being in a position to give back to the community that helped grow me into the person I am, I feel is pretty rewarding.
Could you talk about how does care model work within one ethnic group? How does care model different than any other aged care provider? How is that specialized or specialist?
I find our care model within our facility is a very community-based care model, whereas some other facilities, you're a resident, you're a person, you're in there and you're kind of segregated or secluded, whereas in our organization, everybody feels there's one community. And it shows when we do events, we have regular attendance from all of the families, all engaging within each other, having conversations, having laughs, enjoying, and just feeling like a friendly community where everything is discussed and considered and open to everyone.
What do you feel about the size of the organization as it grows? You can provide a hyper-customized care model. You can be very strong in listening, but as you grow and become more residents and then become larger organization, what's the sweet spot between being too large or versus a small to mid-size?
Well, I think because we're
not to lose the idea of customization or the idea of
So I think because we're a sole facility and we don't have multiple satellites, it allows us to maintain focus on our residents. I think 97 is a good number because you're not so overpopulated that you lose the identity of each resident. Like when I walk through, it's not that's room 20, that's room 21. It's by name. We know all the residents by name and they all know me by name. So it's something that's very pleasing to be able to know and to be able to identify with all of their needs. I think we can afford a bit more growth, but we don't want to overpopulate to where people become a number and we don't know who they are. Same with the school. So that's why the school continues to grow exponentially, but we've capped it at 900 students. And that's for the very purpose of wanting to know who these people are and by name rather than by number.
Could you also talk more about the quality and safeguarding measures being, has been changing and increasing from a governance point of view?
Yeah.
And what kind of governance structures do you employ in your organization?
So in the early days, it was a lot more relaxed in terms of the government standards. So we had the management committee oversee, who are a bunch of volunteers without necessarily specialist knowledge in that area. As the standards have changed and developed and become more onerous, which is a good thing, mind you, because there's a lot of obligation on looking after residents, and so it should, because it's people's lives that we're caring for. We've implemented an advisory board that sits underneath the management committee, who are specialists in those areas, who can provide that specialist knowledge towards the governance committee about making informed decisions. So at those advisory boards, I also have my management staff attend at various times, so they can hear straight from the coalface, what are the issues that are being addressed and how can we better gear the facility to be in a position to make better decisions.
The aged care sector has been going through a bit of changes in the last couple of years.
Yes.
And then most recently the new act and things around it. What do you see the impacts of the most recent changes, and then how do you see that tapering and or maturing in the coming years?
Yeah, look, it creating further obligations on the facility without necessarily considering how those obligations are going to be funded. It's a little bit concerning because it has to be a holistic approach. I understand that the government is moving more to an in-home care model because that will be less onerous on facilities. But the data shows that we're going to be 17% overpopulated in our aged care facilities within the next 5 years. We need to start forward planning about how we're going to address our aging population, and that involves home care plus better consideration around the facilities, not just home care as the silver bullet for this matter.
It should be between home care and residential care both.
Correct, that's right. So I think there has to be some more consideration given to how are these facilities going to operate. It shouldn't just be the highest level of care that goes to these facilities. It should be people who might not be able to be cared for at home adequately.
And what do you see, how the sector has responded to these changes?
The sector is apprehensive, is my view of it anyway. I meet up and talk with quite a few colleagues, and we're a bit apprehensive of what this will look like when it rolls out. Some of the stuff that's being rolled out is not a huge change, so we're not overly concerned, but some of the obligations that are coming out feel not necessarily fully considered before they've been implemented. And I think that shows with the delay with the first round of implementation from the government. And I think they might maybe they haven't quite gotten it entirely right at the moment, but it is where we find ourselves, and we need to position ourselves well to comply with any obligation that comes about.
Advocacy in the sector happens through a peak body, but there are organizations who are doing self-advocacy as well. Yes. So what do you think, one peak body representing the whole set of providers versus that's the one format of model of doing advocacy, and individual advocacy, so, and the one on the spectrum. So what do you think from an advocacy point of view, what model works, what kind of advocacy from a policy is more relevant?
Aged care is such a tailored model of care where every individual will have different needs that need to be looked after and addressed. And that's why it's difficult with one peak body overseeing to be able to understand the issues that all of the aged care facilities are experiencing. I'd lean more towards a multi-facility discussion rather than just having one peak body overseeing.
Yeah, and how you see that there are portfolio of aging, as an aged care services are typically federal funded, but you have state ministers having a portfolio of aging/age. So how do you see the role between the federal government and the state government being played towards the aged care services?
Yeah, look, I think I understand the delineation of the separation of power, but I think it's something that needs to be worked on. We need to all be moving forward in the same direction. Difficulties arise when the state government and the federal government have some discrepancies, and then no one quite understands the intricacies and how to define the separation between the two. That's where I find frustration arises. It's a tricky issue, and I'm not quite sure what the solution here is, but I understand why there's state and there's federal oversight on it, but I'm just not sure the current model works well.
Because aged care services are so critical and more clinical in some way or form, and the aged care services have to typically overlap with some form of health services. So what are the interactions, if you can talk through some example, between the health department, which is state funded, and the aged care, which is federal funded? So how do you manage that overlap for your residents?
Yeah, so we have a lot of our residents are permanent residents, so they receive the care that is afforded to them through the federal funding. Now, there's a lot of allied services that come in, and it's navigating those intricacies that is what you're discussing now. We try to offer support through our accounts for the residents, and we explain and bring in the families for care conferences, and we walk them through how to navigate that issue. It's not always an easy issue to navigate, but in terms of how we navigate that, what else do we do? It's a difficult one. But we send in the application and we help them do it, and we just try to limit the confusion for our residents.
In terms of from a workforce point of view, the idea of caring is very different, because it's not it is an overlap between a clinical services you're providing to your resident. Also, you're providing some form of social interaction. So I can understand, to find that kind of workforce will be a challenge. But what do you see when you are employing care workers in your facilities? What kind of skill sets do you see, and what kind of more job, not just a job description, but what kind of skills and do you observe?
I think the biggest thing is, as well as having the qualification, the biggest thing that you need in that industry is the soft skills, because you're dealing with people's lives. So yes, they need to have the educational qualifications, having the correct certifications and all of that. But the biggest thing that we look for in our staff is having those soft skills of empathy, having understanding, having care. It's a model where it's a difficult system to work in, and you're seeing people at their most vulnerable sometimes. And being able to have that care and compassion can impact people's lives and impact the way that they live out the rest of their lives. So that's the biggest issue that we look for in our staff, is having those soft skills.
The Royal Commission in Aged Care brought out a lot of issues and challenges. And how do you, as an organization, do you manage or safeguard your residents from any form of abuse, neglect?
Yep. So we've got strict policies in place, and we make sure that all of our staff members and our residents and families are aware of what the policies are and the expectations. We also have regular check-ins with our residents and have community meets where we bring in the residents' families and we open the forum up to discuss any issues as they may arise. But it's really a matter of the fact that we're a small facility means that we have that personable connection with all of our residents. So we have that open communication channel to where we can talk to them, we can see them, and we can monitor and make sure that everything is going well and those issues aren't arising. And if those issues do arise, because of that connection, we address them very quickly.
Could you talk more on the pros and cons of the both models, in-home care model versus the residential care model?
The residential care model provides 24/7 care. So it really means that the resident will be looked after and any issues that arise will be addressed instantaneously. Not quite, but you understand. The in-home care model, I understand, is there to not overburden the aged care and the residential aged cares, and for people who may be able to not necessarily need 24/7 care. Now, there's a place for both of them because some people, it's all about dignity of risk. People want to be able to make their own decisions and make sure that they live their lives how they want to. Now, if somebody doesn't need as intimate care as someone who does, it's easier to live at home, to be able to receive that care and to be able to function in society as they would want to. But there's certain people in society who don't have that luxury. They either have health issues that restrict their ability to self-modulate, or they live alone and they don't have the facilities to be able to care for themselves. So I think there's a need for both in society.
And from the next 5-10 years or coming decades, as we have more aging population in Australia, what do you see? What trends do you see in the coming years and decades?
Yeah, look, as you're absolutely correct. We're an aging population. What that means is the burden will fall onto the aged care sector to care for our aging population. Now, I think the government's answer to that at the moment is, well, we'll increase in-home care and that will resolve it. But like we just discussed, not everybody's needs can be met at in-home care. And we need to start looking at, well, residential facilities are going to have the brunt of this. And how do we increase funding to be able to provide more beds, more care for our aging community who are going to need to be looked after?
If there is from a comparison point of view of Australia versus other countries who are similar in terms of what kind of per capita funding do we have per resident in Australia versus other countries, and in terms of the delivery of care, are we underfunded, appropriately funded, or heavily funded?
Look, I'm not an expert in that, and I'm not overly certain. I look at countries from my own experience. I look at places like Greece, where we're definitely better funded than Greece is for our aging population. But then we've got places like Canada where healthcare is free, and so I think we're in the middle, and I think that's where we should be. But I think there's still things that we can fine tune to be better at.
Do you think we have, from a governance point of view, the amount of work the organization service providers have to do in terms of maintaining the records across? For example, if you are a multi-service provider, for example, if you're providing aged care services, if you're providing some kind of disability services as well, so the kind of regulatory burden, what do you feel about that?
That doesn't necessarily cross into our facility. So our facility, we don't have that issue. So again, I'm hazardous to comment on something that I'm not too knowledgeable in.
Fair enough. Could you talk more on the style of education and in your school, and then how is it different from other schools?
Yeah, so our school, similar to our aged care, is all about community focus and feel. We're creating well-rounded individuals rather than just an academic individual. And we find that means that we're actually increasing our academic standing and overachieving. We're smashing our competition out of the water. In terms of what do we offer that others don't, it's that community well-rounded. So when you come out, you're a well-rounded person, not just an educated person. You have those soft skills, you have the empathy, you have the understanding, you have values, and that's drilled into the core method of our teaching. And that's the difference. That's our point of difference.
Could you, what do you see from an education system point of view in Australia? What are the trends? Because from what we could see, the more in comparison with OECD countries on literacy and numeracy comparison, the numbers are not looking that great. So what do you see are the reasons for that trend?
I think we're moving away from the old model of teacher at the front writing on the whiteboard, and we're moving to more interactive and more holistic approach in our education. I think that's a good approach because in life, you're not going to sit down and have someone on a whiteboard writing all of the answers that you then need to remember and parrot back. We're teaching more holistic education where they can understand the root of where it's coming from so that they know how to apply it better in their general life. So I think the trends moving forward will continue to increase and will better themselves.
What do you see from a core values point of view as a purpose? What are your own personal values you believe in? And then how do you bring those values to work?
Personal values is all about empathy, care, respect, and striving to better yourself every single day. And that's how I approach work, and that's how I expect all of our organisations approach work as well. We're all learning. Every day we're learning, and hopefully the next day is better than our last. But it's doing it in a respectful and appropriate manner and being open to working together to achieve those goals. We're all one team in each of our organisations, and we're progressing towards achieving our targets and bettering ourselves.
In terms of managing distinct organisations, from a skill set, what's the leadership style you follow? Everybody has their own way of leading teams. What's the leadership style you lean on to, and then what's yours?
I'm very team orientated. I think you employ people because they're specialists in their area. It's silly not to listen to those people who have that specialised knowledge. That doesn't mean that I'm beholden to their recommendations, but I want everybody to feel included and everybody to feel like they've been heard. We may disagree with certain opinions, and that's okay. I think disagreement brings healthy discussion, and that's how people's perspectives might shift, or we change and we learn. But at the end of the day, we all get behind the decision and we all progress towards implementing whatever the decision is. So it's a very team-orientated approach.
Could you talk a bit more on the plans for the organisation in the coming years and decades?
Yeah, so our strategic plan for the school is between 23 to 28. We've currently achieved nearly all of our targets, so exciting ahead of schedule. So what we've done is we've already started putting the time into considering a new master plan for the school build projects. We're reviewing our teaching methodology and pedagogy and seeing how can we better implement that within our structure. So we have already commenced the planning phase for the school. With respects to the aged care as well, again, we've achieved our targets that we had. So now we're doing feasibility studies on different models of care that we might want to look at. We're also looking at, well, how do we better our existing facility to increase to cater for the increased care needs that our residents are now having. We're observing a more higher level of care needed in our residents that are applying and coming. So how do we structure our facility to better be placed to care for that as we move forward? And with our organisation generally, we're looking at creating a hub that brings back the members into the community, and how can we service the community? I mean, we've been around for over 100 years. The needs of our members 100 years ago are different to the needs of our members of today. So we're trying to re-energise and integrate our organisation to be able to provide the new style of care that's needed for our members.
Could you also talk more on the core of why I, as an individual, the core of why you wanted to be, doing these from a lawyer to being being a CEO of these organizations. What's the core reason?
Well, being a lawyer was great, and I really enjoyed it. But here I can help many people. I can. My decisions impact such a wider range of people within our community, and not just within the Greek Australian community, but the wider community. And being able to be in a position that makes changes for the better towards society was extremely appealing to me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.